11 years now. He's been the blue tape and I've been the red tape.
Explain what that means.
So when we go to set and they set up our marks, sometimes we'll be changing to our Fed suits, Fed threads they call it. And so we'll get to set and it'll be blocked. And every now and again we have a new worker in the camera department who's putting the tape down. And so there'll be blue tape, Jensen goes right to it. There'll be red tape, I'll go right to it. And they'll be like, oh no, y'all have switched. And we're like, but
no, we're not.
It's like Ron Burgundy, or whatever happens in the teleprompter, you just kind of say.
We're like trained canines. We go right to where we When, as some of you heard this, when I did a film years back, and they tried to use red tape day one. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna be honest. I can do it, but can I just suggest that you put blue and that way I don't have to think about it? So coming out here, this was kind of a nice choice. What's up, Vegas?
What's up, season 12? Thank you. I love you. We love you. And we are officially going to be the show that never ends. We want to start dyeing our hair.
Oh, I think it's dying itself.
God is dyeing it. How's it been going so far?
How was the concert last night? Sorry I missed it. It was either go to the concert and have a zombie of a Jensen today, or get some rest last night and be with you guys today. So sometimes you got to pick your battles.
Well, since this isn't a Walking Dead convention, we didn't want any zombies.
So there's no zombies. Zombies won't last long on our show anyway. So
yeah, it's awesome to be here, guys. Obviously, this was a big weekend for us. I found out. I got a call from my manager who was like, hey, rumor mill is that you got picked up, but don't say anything yet. And I was like, all right. And so I reached out to some friends and they were like, yeah, you have 7 minutes and you can announce it. I was like, so I was very excited. And it's really surreal.
I heard from him. He calls he calls me, he's like, hey man, congratulations. I'm like, thanks. I'm just quickly going,
who is this?
All right, what happened? What's going on? Is my wife pregnant? Did she tell Jared?
She probably would have told Jen.
She probably would have told Jen first, and would have told you. Yeah, I would have found out eventually.
In 9 months.
And then, where did this come from? Yeah, such is life. I usually am the last to find out. Of course, then I go on my email and there's like 5 emails. I'm like, oh, I should probably check that sometime.
And we were down in Austin and we saw a movie called Gleason. Does anybody know sort of Steve Gleason? Yeah, so there was a football player for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
And he, no, Cowboys fan, obviously, but this was a great story. Yeah, but the Saints won the Super Bowl in 2007. He had made this really amazing play. And then he ended up getting diagnosed with ALS. And he's just this inspiring, motivating, amazing guy who really kind of embodies Always Keep Fighting. And he was there, and we went and saw this documentary, Cry Fest, for basically 2 or 3 hours. Pretty unabashed, just like my shirt. So that was our weekend. That was my weekend. A lot of that.
Yep.
Well, before we just jabber, let's get to the crowd, see what's going on. I see the green shirt, green hand.
So you guys have hands down the best crew ever.
Yeah.
You're Jesus Christ.
Hey, take it easy. It's early.
Sorry. Oh, I know. You guys have the best crew ever. I was actually in Vancouver last week and got to go on set, and your crew is just the heart and soul. I love them so much. But the question is, there are so many loose ends that the writers haven't tied up. Which are the storylines that you would like them to go back and readdress?
I don't want them to start tying up loose ends because that means they're going to tie up all the ends and they'll be out of the job.
You're There's so many that
There are so many.
I think-
I can think a few off the top of my head. I love to visit, see what's going on with Benny. I'd love to maybe figure out if Dean did kill Kane or if he didn't. So there's, yeah, so it's him. So there are, and this is, I'm kind of selfishly speaking because I really enjoy working with those two actors. But yes, there are a lot of those things that kind of questions that get asked, or maybe a scene that cuts just before we really understand. Now, I will say that coming up, there is an answer to a question that's been asked for quite a long time. Shh! I'm not going to give it away. They probably already know. I'm the last to know anyway. So. What? No.
Yeah, he's
not wrong.
Getting warmer.
I will say that it is related to Rob, but it is a question that's been asked for a long time.
I too, part of me would love for Dean to go back and revisit Benny and Kane, because that means I'm an awesome.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Dean's with Benny. Let's see what's going on with Sam.
Audience doesn't care. Oh no, I mean like, please don't care, so I can go back to maybe the Antichrist kid. That always. I threw a sandal at him. And Adam. Yeah, the name, yeah, Voldemort.
I would like to see the heavenly celestial card game that's going on between John Winchester, Bobby Singer, Rufus.
I wish we could have posted that video already.
What video?
From Phil. When did we get the clearance? We have another.
You have clearance, Clarence. Roger, what's our vector?
There's another really funny shaving people punching things 2-minute video that a lot of people ask, what's it like behind the scenes? And this is a legitimate, like the cameras are just kind of running for 2 minutes and you see what happens in between 2 takes. In its entirety, cut together, and it's pretty funny. I laughed out loud and rewatched it. And I was getting my tire fixed because my wife had a chuck hole and the tire exploded. So I had to go like wait at the GMC dealership. And so I was like, oh, I got an email. So I'm sitting there going, that's all right. But yeah, you know what? Also, realistically, I was a huge fan of the first season of Lost, and I might like the rest of it. I haven't had the chance to sit down and watch it all. But when season 2 started, one of the things I didn't like, and sometimes a loose end is tied up, and like I think J.K. Rowling and J.R. Tolkien were geniuses at how to tie up all loose ends with no more questions asked. But sometimes tying up a loose end just to tie it up can kind of jump the shark, right? So I think these are questions that they're like, well, let's kind of keep it in the ethosphere. So maybe we'll never get to answer those questions, but hopefully if we go long enough, y'all keep bringing us back.
I mean, you guys are that old here, so.
All right, how about right there behind you in the red? Yep.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
First, I just want to say really quick, thank you for always doing liquor face, because as I bartend here in Las Vegas, and nobody is immune to liquor face, and everybody, it pisses me off when somebody like some self-proclaimed badass takes a shot at something and makes no noise.
That pisses me off too.
Yeah.
In fact, there are 2 things that, I'm going to say 3 things that I notice when I watch other movies or television series that I'm like, that I almost have to turn it off and not watch it anymore.
What are they?
It's 1,
Liquor face.
liquor face. It's 2, somebody driving a car and never checking the mirrors or checking their surroundings, or going like this. Well, I told you the last time. It's like, well, they just hit a wall. This is
With the one caveat that it worked in Dumb and Dumber.
unless it's for a comedy purpose, yes. But that drives me crazy. And then the third thing is actors who look at their marks. So when they do this. Listen to me. It's like you gotta just learn how to not look at your, that's 101 acting there. So anyway, those three things drive me crazy, but thank you. Because yeah, when you take a shot of whiskey, it's not just like a shot of water.
Yeah, and nothing tells you it's water faster than nobody making that like
Exactly.
basically.
Well, I will keep this in mind. Sometimes it is real. So it's really like Russian roulette. We never know, so.
One of us usually knows.
And that's what we trained ourselves. Regardless if it's water, it's, oh, that was just water.
My favorite is some people know the story, and there's going to be one bad word, but for his sake, I'm going to say it. The late great Kim Manners, we were shooting the episode Touched or Angels or Houses of the Holy, whatever it was called. Touched Angels, House of the Holy. It changed names like 15 times. In the end scene where Dean walks in and kind of like says I had a weird experience, hands a flask to Sam, and then I hand it back. It was a pretty emotional scene, and we weren't really sure what to make of it just yet because the show hadn't gone in that area. We're like, how do we treat it? Do we treat it like it's a zombie? Do we treat it like maybe the boys are hopeful that there are angels and then possibly demons? Anyways, somebody, I legitimately don't remember if it was Jensen or me, put Jack Daniels in the flask. And so, it must have been you, because I didn't know. Yeah, because the scene is he walks in and takes a drink, and then he hands it to me, and I kind of take a drink. And I remember doing it on camera the first time, being like, and so a few takes of that, and Manners comes in to give us some direction, as a director does. And Ackles just kind of like undoes the flask, leaves it up to Manners, and Manners is like, wow! Ackles is like, here you go. Manners goes, you fucking idiots, here. And that was it. And he just like finished giving us direction and walked back. He wasn't pissed. We were getting the work done. He was just like, idiots. Like, here you go. Yeah, idiots. Rest in peace.
So, yes, so there's a question here somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I went off on my bad.
I don't think so my question is, both Jared and Misha now have had the opportunity to play characters who aren't their normal character, like Gadriel and Lucifer, Jimmy, Meg.
Soulless.
But that was kind of an iteration.
Carry on.
So all of Dean's evolutions have, like Purgatory Dean and future, now past Dean and Demon Dean have all been like actual evolutions.
Refer to him as Glimpse Dean.
They've all been actual evolutions of Dean's character.
It was a glimpse. It wasn't actually telling the
You
future.
can't call him Glimpse Dean.
It was
Too late, it's already been coined.
because he was saying, listen, this is what could happen if this happens. So here's a glimpse in your future of repercussions that will happen if you don't do A, B, and C.
The point is, there's got to be a better name than
So it wasn't
Glimpse.
like, this is the future. This is the future if.
I do have a question.
This is 12 years, basically.
Yeah.
We need to solve this. It's not Glimpse, it's Glimpse!
Hi. In the red there, what's your question?
So, Jensen, are there any characters that you would have any, since we have a whole other season, like to explore and get to like shrug off the comfortable jacket of Dean and maybe try and play somebody else for a little bit?
No, I am so comfortable. I am happy in the Dean world. I will say yes, it has always been just versions of Dean. Even though Demon Dean, it was still Dean. So there is always the common denominator of having Dean as the base of whatever version of that I play. And yes, he's had to play different versions of Sam, but also different characters. So I don't think I've really had to do that. And I don't know. That's not been a decision of mine. I don't write the show. I'm not responsible for the storylines. I just kind of do what they tell me. If I have a major problem with it, obviously I take it up with the writers, but I've never really had to do that. So I don't know whether that is a conscious decision of the writers to be like, you know, we don't want to get rid of Dean. We need Dean to stay him in order to facilitate these other characters going rogue. Or to take care of that, or whatever it may be. The reason that they haven't made me play somebody else is I don't know, it's a mystery to me. So maybe they will. I don't know.
Do you remember the one time you did go to bat, well, the most recent time you really went to bat with the writers? It made it to the gag reel. You directed the episode.
Oh yeah, the hammer.
The hammer versus the knife. And so finally, he really wanted the bulky hammer, and the writers wanted the knife.
For the Demon
Demon Dean, the chase hammer.
Season.
And so finally, when we free him from Demon, we're like, why did you grab a hammer? Why did you grab a knife or something? He's like, all right, next. Yes, Kmart.